We mentioned those tokens off the top. They're a hidden cost for companies, and it's moving the fear from AI taking jobs to it simply costing way more than expected. Ajay Chawla with OnTrac AI is joining us now in Studio C with a closer look at what we're seeing and what can be done. And Ajay, it's good to see you. Thanks for joining us.
Good to see you.
What are we talking about here when we say tokens, first of all? Because as we pointed out astutely at the beginning of the show, they're not the tokens we use in arcades, but they certainly are valuable, and a lot of questions are asked because of them.
Yeah, so pretty much anything you do on AI and using generative AI, the large language models like Claude or ChatGPT, they require payment, right? And oftentimes, you know, on the free models, you'll get to a certain point, but the companies that are using them are paying these enterprise costs, and they buy them per million tokens, and those tokens are adding up quickly, as we're seeing.
So the cost of these tokens, consumers are blowing through their AI budgets. We know Uber burned, I think 2026, they burned their AI budget in 4 months. And then you have Microsoft actually pulling AI tools from employees saying, hey, remember that thing we told you about using AI? Yeah. Go ahead and put a pause on that. It's costing us too much money. These are big corporations.
Yeah, I think with any corporation, right, they need to put guardrails on anything they offer their employees. But then you have other companies that are out there telling them, keep using them, right? They're fine with their employees using these tokens. They're increasing their efficiency, especially coders out there. The development moves a lot faster with AI-generated code. So there are those companies that are really encouraging it still, but it's something that companies have to worry about and have to think about as they move into AI. And one of the things we talk to a lot of companies that we work with, especially locally, is really what is the total cost of ownership of these AI projects they're doing, right? The initial fear was, hey, we got to get over the fear of companies, you know, laying people off, and now they're looking back going, oh my God, is it going to cost me more than the people cost to use AI in the future?
Break that down for us, though, because that's interesting. So the AI taking away jobs is a big narrative. Okay, they're going to take away our jobs, and now we're saying the bill to pay for all these AI tokens may actually cost more than anything else we ever imagined.
Yeah, and
how do they not know that?
Well, I mean, I think things are getting a little more expensive before they get cheaper over the long runs, and as newer models come out, they tend to charge more. I think one of the things that companies have to look at is like, hey, do we need the latest, greatest model in Claude, right, or ChatGPT, or can we use a little bit lesser model to get what our employees need? And I think that's where companies are kind of at a fork in the road right now. They really don't understand what they're getting into, and it's costing a lot of companies a lot of money right now.
Well, you're someone in a position where you actually track this stuff and also advise, I'm sure, many people and companies and organizations. You know, there's a couple of ways to do this. There's panic spending, there's panic cutting. What are some things that we can do to avoid that? What should leaders be thinking about right now?
Yeah, well, in any way, you don't want to panic spend or panic cut, right? You want to go and approach it with a strategy, right? And really understand what the undertaking you're about to take on is. And what we talk to companies about is look at, you know, the long term. What are you trying to achieve? Are you trying to achieve cost savings or revenue generation, and what are we getting out of it, right? I'm still very bullish on the AI, story. I think it's still really good for companies to do. But again, as I've said before with you on the show, if you don't have a strategy and you don't have a game plan, you're not going to come out ahead.
One thing I think is interesting that you've advised and that you stand by as part of your ethos is picking projects that pay for themselves. Talk about what that means. What does that look like for a company out there?
Well, I think you gotta first understand what the impact is of the project, right? And I think that's where a lot of companies do what we call science projects, right? They're out there, they're trying to reach for these pie in the sky ideas that may not pay for themselves, really. So really you have to look at what is the ROI of every project you're looking at, and you have to pick accordingly, right? And you are going to have some projects and some AI processes that you do that are not going to pay for themselves in the short run, but in the long run they will, right? And then there's kind of vice versa. So you really have to be very strategic about how you pick your projects and what you're looking for. And that's the big thing, right? You got to identify that first.
Since it's such a new frontier right now, I imagine companies are waiting for other companies to try things and to see how that worked out, looking at precedents, right?
Right, and right now, I mean, the companies that ran out ahead were all obviously the tech companies. Right now, you know, at the beginning it was all the layoffs that scared the employees on what was happening, and now we're looking at these companies that are a little bit of the laggards in the industries are looking at the tech companies going, oh my God, look, Uber just blew through their total tech budget in 4 months, and their tech budget is 100 times what our tech budget is. What does this mean for us? And again, you got to think Uber is dealing with a lot of high-end development and compute that a lot of the companies, especially here in Michigan, aren't really dealing with. I mean, we're not, you know, the automotive companies and the suppliers aren't doing the type of compute and using the compute
that Microsoft,
Microsoft or Meta or Uber is using.
Ajay Chawla, great to see you. Thanks for joining us here tonight. We appreciate your perspective.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Well, we're turning to